Hi everyone, good afternoon. Today in this class, we are going to discuss about an important poem written by William Wordsworth. In the last session, we discussed about a poem by William Wordsworth, and we know that in UPSC mains examination, we have 9 poems. Okay, we have 9 poems in UPSC main syllabus, and in these 9 poems, 2 poems are different. That's why we selected these poems first. Because these 2 poems, first one is yesterday we discussed about that poem, and the next poem is 3 years she grew in sun and shower. It means that the 2 poems are different, that we already said 2 poems are different from the list of poems which given in the UPSC syllabus, and this poem is called as Lucy poem. Okay, Lucy, it's a series of poems written by William Wordsworth. And another one, the first Lucy poem we discussed in the last class, and this is the second poem in UPSC syllabus, then Lucy poem. Okay. Then we discussed that what is Lucy poem. Lucy poem is a series of poems written by William Wordsworth, and this Lucy poem includes 5 list of poems or 5 different poems, and it's a series of poems. Okay. And why we call this poem as a Lucy poem? Because in these 5 poems, William Wordsworth mentioned about a character, Lucy. Mentioned about a character, Lucy. Okay, mentioned about a character, Lucy. So that's what the Lucy, the character, or the central theme of the poem is Lucy. Lucy is an anonymous or unknown character representation by the poet. Okay, so that's the difference. And in the last class also we discussed about William Wordsworth's way of presentation. Mainly William Wordsworth used his literary works to highlight the beauty of nature. Because as far as this William Wordsworth concerned, he represents nature as a central point in all his literary works, all poems. Okay, so here the Lucy poem signifies a person. The name is Lucy, but the history or the background of Lucy is unknown. And the character Lucy is just a representation of William Wordsworth's emotion. And Lucy is the representative of society, representation for beauty, imagination, and all. Okay, so let's discuss about the poem. 3 years she grew in sun and shower. Like the first Lucy poem, this poem also explains about death. This poem also explains about death. Death is the central theme in this poem. And the first Lucy poem also discussed about death, and the central point of this poem is also death. Okay. And so this poem explains about sorrow. This poem explains about sorrow. And this is UPSC syllabus. Okay. This is UPSC mains optional syllabus. And we have 9 poems in this syllabus. And out of these 9 poems, 2 poems are Lucy poems. Which are the Lucy poems? The first one is, this is Lucy poem, which means that this poem included in the series of poems, Lucy poems. And next one is this one. This also Lucy poem. So we discussed this first Lucy poem, and here today we are going to discuss about the second Lucy poem. Okay, so this poem name is third 3 years she grew sun and shower. Okay, so this poem also indicate about the nature and mainly a 3 year girl. Okay, a 3 year child. This poem is about a 3 year child, a beautiful child, and the poet used his imagination and his sorrow through this character. Okay, so let's discuss about the poem. And before that, we can discuss about what is Lucy poem. We said Lucy poem means a series of poem, written by William Wordsworth. A series of poem written by William Wordsworth. Then why this poem is named as Lucy poem? Because these series of poems, 5 list of poems, commonly mentioned about a common character that is Lucy. That's why we call this poem as a Lucy poem. And Lucy is actually an imaginary character. The historians, literary experts says that this poem, the character of Lucy, is a imaginary representation. According to the experts, according to the literary experts or historians, they mentioned that Lucy is a character which which William Wordsworth used to indicate his imagination and express his thoughts through this character. Okay. Then next, which are the 5 Lucy poems? First one is, which are the 5 Lucy poems? First one is, strange fits of passion have unknown. This poem is not in UPSC syllabus. Okay. Then she dwelt among the untrodden ways. This poem is in UPSC syllabus. And I traveled among the unknown men is not in UPSC syllabus. And 3 years she grew sun and shower. Okay, this in UPSC syllabus. And the slumber did my spirit seal. Okay, actually this out of 5 Lucy poem, 2 poems are in UPSC literature syllabus. And for the first poem we already discussed, and the second poem we are going to discuss in this class. Okay, so let's start. We know that we can commonly say that William Wordsworth normally explains about his poem. All his poems explained about some features. Mainly we know that William Wordsworth is considered as the natural poet because all his writings based on natural beauty. Okay, and he used this different types of similes and metaphor. Okay, different types of literary devices in poem. Mainly all the concluding part of all his literary works based on natural beauty only. Okay, so that's an important point. So here also we can revise the last poem that we already discussed about. She dwelt in an untrodden ways. Okay, that poem we discussed in the last class. And that poem also signifies the death, the pain of death and its beauty, nature, and also there was a characterization, Lucy, and Lucy was dead. But after her death, the poet William Wordsworth also mentions about his thoughts. That means her beauty and her connections. Actually, she was living in a remote area, and nobody realized her beauty and character. And all these are the important theme in that poem. And here in this poem also, William Wordsworth explains about beauty with a three-year girl or 3-year child. Okay, so let's discuss. So this poem is about the important meaning of this poem is education of nature. That is the meaning. Okay, central theme, education of nature. Education of nature. Education of nature is the central theme of this poem. Okay, education of nature. That means nature educates the child. Lucy. Here the three-year she. Here she means Lucy. Okay, she means Lucy. And this Lucy educated. That means nature educated her. Okay, that's the central theme of the poem. And the central character of this poem is Lucy. Lucy, 3 years old Lucy. Lucy was a beautiful girl. Okay, Lucy was a beautiful girl. According to Wordsworth, she was beautiful. Okay, she was beautiful. Okay, so let's read the poem. 3 years she grew in sun and shower. Then nature said, a lovelier flower. Nature said, a lovelier flower on earth was never sown. This child I to myself, if will take, she shall be mine, and I will make a lady of my own. So let's read once again. 3 years. Okay, 3 years. It means that when Lucy in 3 years, okay, in 3 years old, during the time she was in 3 years. That means she lived in this world till 3 years. After that she is no more in this world. Okay, that means now she is dead. The poet regrets about the poets feel, that means he feels that the missing of that particular beautiful Lucy. And 3 years she lived. 3 years she lived in this world. That's the point. Okay. Then she grew in sun and shower. That means she was happy. She was happily lived here in sun and shower. That means that sunlight and rain. She enjoyed the beauty of nature, and she is the representative of the beauty. Okay. The next is, then nature said. The poet William Wordsworth says that nature said. What nature said? Nature said, a lovelier flower. She was a lovelier flower. Who? Lucy. Okay, 3-year-old Lucy. Lucy was a flower, like a flower. It's a comparison, right? It is a, like, that it's a metaphor, right? Metaphor. It's a poetical device, comparison. So, Lucy was a lovelier flower. Okay. The next one, on earth was never sown, but that flower was not sown by the earth. It means that the beauty was special. Lucy's beauty was so special. According to William Wordsworth, it was so special. Okay, and it was not sown. That means it was not the gift of God, gift of the earth, but the God or nature. Poet says that it's not the gift of the earth, but the nature. It's a gift of nature. That is the beauty. That is the beauty of 3-year-old Lucy, according to William Wordsworth. The next, this child to myself will take, she shall be mine, and I will make a lady of my own. The next point is that nature, now nature is considered as the mother of Lucy. Nature is considered as the mother of beauty. According to this 6 lines of the poem, stanza 1, 6 lines of the poem, the poet explains, which are the points poet explains? Poet explains that, point number 1, she lived here. Okay, 3 years. 3 years Lucy lived here. Point number 1. Then point number 2, she was like a lovelier flower. Okay, comparison. Lucy, beautiful Lucy, was like a beautiful flower. Okay, a flower, like a flower. Then third one is, actually she was from nature. Okay, she was from nature. And the fourth one is, fourth one is, the nature educates her, or nature makes her a grown-up girl, or the nature do the role as a mother. Okay, nature is the mother of Lucy. Clear? So these are the important points in the stanza 1. Very, very simple poem. William Wordsworth poems are very simple, very easy to learn, easy to read, and all words are straightforward, simple words. Okay. Then, so these are the important points from the stanza 1. So let's discuss quickly about the meaning of the stanza 1. The stanza 1 of the poem, William Wordsworth explains about Lucy. Lucy is a representative characterization of William Wordsworth, and he wrote 5 different poems relating with Lucy as the central character. Okay, then here, from this series of poems, 2 poems are in UPSC main syllabus, and we already studied the first Lucy poem, and the second poem is 3 years she grew, sun and shower. And the first stanza of the poem, William Wordsworth, the romantic poet in English literature, explains about the Lucy. Lucy is a 3 years old girl, and she lived in this earth. Okay, she lived in the earth, and the poet says that her beauty is very different, and she is like a lovely flower. And the poet also says that nature is the mother of Lucy. So this is the important points relating with the stanza 1 of the poem. Let's move into the stanza 2. In the stanza 2 of the poem, again the poet says that in this poem we have 7 stanzas. Okay, it's a small poem. We already said that during the orientation session. I already explained about the syllabus, and we have 60 poems. 60 poems in English literature optional, UPSC optional, and out of the 60 poems, 40 poems are simple poems like these poems. Okay, very, very simple poems, very easy to learn, and out of this 60 poems, 40 poems are very, very simple and precise. Okay. Then next we can discuss about the stanza 2. The stanza 2 also explains about Lucy. Okay. Then let's read. Myself will to go my darling to be, both low and impulse and with me, the girl in rock and plain, in earth and heaven, in glad and bower, shall feel an overseeing power to kindle or restrain. What is the meaning of this stanza 2? Myself will to my darling be, both low and impulse and with me, the girl in rock and plain, in earth and heaven in glad and power, shall feel an overseeing power to kindle or restrain. Okay, so what is this stanza 2 explains about Lucy? This stanza, William Wordsworth explains about nature cares for Lucy. Nature cares for Lucy. That is the meaning. Okay, nature cares for Lucy. Nature cares for Lucy. Nature cares for Lucy. We already said that nature is the mother of Lucy. Now, according to the writer William Wordsworth, nature is the representative, or nature is considered as the mother of Lucy according to William Wordsworth. And this poem, myself will to my darling to both law and impulse, and with me the girl in rock and plain. That means that in mountains, in rocks, in lawns or grasslands, Lucy also protected by nature. That means that nature always protects Lucy, because nature is the mother of Lucy according to William Wordsworth. So nature always protects Lucy. That is an important point. Okay, and nature always guide her. The earth and heaven in glad and power shall feel an overseeing power to kindle or restrain. It means that nature always guide her. Okay, her means Lucy. Nature always guide her. That's an important point. And nature inspires her. Nature inspires her. Okay, so in this stanza, William Wordsworth explains about the role of nature in Lucy's life. What is the role of nature in Lucy's life? According to William Wordsworth, Lucy is protected by the influence of nature. Nature is like the mother of Lucy. And this mother, that means nature, always guides her and always helps her to helps to grow her, and nature cares her. So these are the important points relating with the stanza 2, and through this stanza 2, William Wordsworth explains about the role of nature in this poem, because this poem signifies, it mainly points the life of Lucy. She is only 3 years old and now she is dead, and it's a poem is about a sorrow. And this sorrow, through this sorrow, William Wordsworth explains about the beauty of Lucy. She is very, very beautiful, a beautiful girl, and she was lived here, but she is dead now. And the poet thinks that she was guided and she was protected and she was grown by the nature. Okay, so nature is considered as the caretaker of Lucy. Nature always protects her, nature always guides her, nature always educates her. So these are the important points in this stanza 2. Then next we can move into the stanza 3. In stanza 3, let's read the lines. Stanza 3. She shall be sportive as the fawn that while with glee across the lawn or up the mountain springs, and here shall the breathing balm, and here's the silence and the clam of mute insensate things. Okay, the next lines explains about she shall be sportive as the fawn, sportive of the fawn, that while with glee across the lawn or up the mountain springs, and hers shall be the breathing balm, and hers the silence and the calm of mute the insensate things. Okay, so let's discuss in the meaning of the important meaning here. Okay, she shall be sportive as the fawn. What is fawn? We know that young deer, that means little deer. Okay, okay, she is sporty. That means she is playing in this land. She was playing in this land like a deer, and she is playing. Okay, according to poet, Lucy was active. Lucy was active like a deer. Okay, little deer. Okay, then that while with a glee across the lawn. Here lawn means we know that the grassland, like this grassland. Lucy is playing in this land. Lucy was playing in this land like a fawn, and she was very, very happy. She was very happy, and she was very pleasant and very energetic. Specifically, beauty. Okay, and this poem explains about the beauty of 3 years old Lucy and the nature of Lucy. These lines explains about the nature of Lucy, her life and her expressions. Or up the mountain springs, and her shall the breathing balm, and hers the silence and the calm and mute insensate things. It means that according to the poet William Wordsworth, nature always will guide Lucy. Nature always will guide Lucy, because Lucy was very energetic and a beautiful girl. And she was like a deer, always dancing and always playing in this world. Okay. And she enjoyed the beauty of nature, and the nature protects her. Okay. So the point is same in this second stanza as well. And next we can discuss about the stanza 4. The stanza 4, the floating clouds their state shall land. Floating clouds. Floating clouds, we know that the clouds, floating clouds in the sky. And their state shall land. To her, for her the willow bend, nor shall she fail to see, even in the motions of the storm. Then grace, the shawl mold of the maiden's form, and by silent sympathy. What does this stanza 4 indicates? The stanza 4. Mainly the stanza 4 mainly says about nature will teach Lucy important lesson. Okay. Nature will teach Lucy important lessons. Okay. Important lessons. Nature will teach Lucy important lessons. Important lessons. Okay. And at the same time, here's the comparison. The floating clouds. We know that the floating clouds are very beautiful. Whenever looks into the sky, we can see the clouds, and it is moving. And the floating clouds, she's like a cloud. It's a comparison of her beauty of Lucy, because like a cloud in the sky, she looks very beautiful and charming. And the next is that storm, motion of the storm. That means the storm and the wind. We know that all these are the natural elements, and poet normally compares this beauty of nature with Lucy in this stanza. And here the grace, that means the beauty of cloud and the beauty of nature with Lucy's beauty. Okay, the girl Lucy's beauty, and it's a comparison between the natural object like cloud or wind or natural elements with grace of Lucy. Okay, so there is an important point in this stanza 4. And the next one is, the stars of midnight shall be dear. The stars of midnight. The stars of midnight. The stars of midnight, we know that in the midnight, that means during the night time, we can see the stars in the sky. And the star is very beautiful and brightened. And this comparison is about the Lucy's beauty with the star. Okay, and here the shining stars of night. Okay, next is shining stars. Shining stars will attract Lucy. Okay, shining stars will attract Lucy according to William Wordsworth. Okay, shining stars of night surely will attract Lucy towards them. But it means that the beauty, the comparison of beauty with the Lucy and the midnight stars. Okay. Then next is that, to her and she shall lean her ear. That means then the poet Wordsworth imagines that Lucy will hear the voice, the melodious voice of wayward round and beautiful murmuring sound shall pass into her face. And it means that in her childhood time, Lucy was enjoying the beauty of nature, and she will enjoy the beauty of star at the same time. It's a comparison between the star and the Lucy. And the next one is she will attract towards small rivers and sweet sounds. Okay, that means the stream. Okay, stream, you know that stream, the voice of stream, rivers, and these voices are sweet. Okay, and it will give the happiness. Okay, the poet William Wordsworth says that these emotions will give happiness to Lucy, and indirectly the poet compares this natural beauty with Lucy, the 3-year-old lady, or 3-year-old child or girl. Okay, and the poet says that Lucy will enjoy the murmuring sound of nature. It means that murmuring sound of river, murmuring sound of stream, and it will help her to be happy. So that is the points, that was the imagination of William Wordsworth regarding Lucy. Okay, and the next one is, and vital feelings of delight shall rear her from the stately height. Her virgin bosom swell, such thoughts to Lucy I will give, while she and I together live here in this happy dell. It means that, it's a short meaning lines. It means that in the stanza 6, the poet says that Lucy will grow and change into the graceful figure. Lucy will grow and change into the graceful figure. Okay, Lucy will grow and change into the graceful figure. It means that she will grow in future. Actually, Lucy is dead now, and she is not living in this earth. At the age of 3, she was dead. Okay, she was dead, and the poet imagined that she will grow. In future, she will grow. Nature will guide her. Nature will educate her. Nature will give her all the help, and nature will give her the growth. Okay, so that's the poem already mentioned. So here the stanza 6, the poet explains about the future of uh, Lucy in heaven. Actually, she is now in heaven. Okay, not in the earth. And she will grow in heaven. Okay, she will grow in heaven in future. And it means that in future also, her mind will in extreme happiness. Extreme happiness. Okay, her mind will in extreme happiness. So this poem we can see that a vital feeling of delight shall rear her from the stately height. Her virgin bosom swell. Here virgin bosom, here we know that she will grow. Okay, she will grow she will be a grown-up girl. And such thoughts to Lucy I will give while she and I together live here in this happy dell. Okay. The next one is the last stanza of the poem. The last stanza of the poem we can discuss about. The last stanza the poet explains about the death of Lucy. Okay, about the death of Lucy. She is dead. About the death of Lucy. And the poet says that Lucy died, thus nature spake. Spake means speak. Okay. Nature speaks, the work was done. How soon my Lucy's race was ruined. She died and left to me this hate, this calm and quiet scene. Calm and quiet scene. The memory of what has been and never more will be. Okay. So what's the meaning of these lines, this stanza? The meaning is short. We can say that Lucy died at the very young age. Okay, that means 3 years. When she was 3 years, she died, and she left nature alone. She left nature alone. She left nature alone. She left nature alone. Okay, and next is she died and left to me. And this heat with a calm and quiet scene in the memory of what has been and never more will be. And the poet also sad about the death of Lucy because the memory. The poet William Wordsworth lived in the memory of Lucy. Actually, the poet was sad, and the poet also sad about the death of Lucy. So the last stanza of the poem is a recollection of memory of William Wordsworth, and the poet thinks about the beauty of Lucy, and now she is not here, she is dead, but the poet hopes that she will grow with the help of nature. So this is the important theme or point in this poem. Important theme or point in this poem by William Wordsworth. Okay. So let's quickly revise this poem once again. The poem is about the character or the imaginary character Lucy. Who was Lucy? Lucy was an imaginary representation. by William Wordsworth. And there are 5 list of poems, and these poems named as Lucy poems. Why these poems named as Lucy poems? Because these 5 poems generally discuss about a common character, Lucy. Then who was Lucy? Actually, there is no correct explanation or history behind the characterization of Lucy. And some literary thinkers and historians say that this Lucy is an imaginary presentation or imaginary characterization by William Wordsworth. And some are saying that the character Lucy is the representative of the common society, and others says that Lucy is a character representing beauty of nature. So all these are the different perspectives regarding the character of Lucy. And out of this 5 series of poems, mainly we have 5 series of Lucy poems, and this 5 series, 2 Lucy poem in UPSC literature mains syllabus optional paper. Okay, and we discussed the 2 Lucy poems. Yesterday we discussed a poem, and today we completed the second Lucy poem. And this poem is very short and very straightforward lines, simple meaning, and not indirect or in-depth meaning, and there is no unimportant comparisons, the only direct comparisons and natural presentations only. And this poem is explaining about a character, Lucy, and Lucy is a representation of beauty. According to William Wordsworth, he says that Lucy is a 3-year beautiful girl or child. She was lived in this earth, and now she is not here because she is dead. And poet says that this Lucy, this 3-year Lucy, is very beautiful, and she lived in this nature. And the poet compares that the girl protected, guided, and the girl protected and guided by the nature. Okay, so this is the important theme in this poem. Then let's look to the UPSC question. Yesterday and today we discussed about William Wordsworth, and here we can discuss, or we can see the question. Do you agree with the view that for Wordsworth poetry was a philosophic exercise? Okay, in this way question will ask direct question. Okay, there is no indirect, there is no current affairs mixture, there is no complications and all. Simple. You just read this question. Do you agree with the view that William Wordsworth poetry was a philosophic exercise? Very simple question, direct question. We already studied the 2 poems, William Wordsworth 2 poems. And from this 2 poems, we realized about, or we understood, what is the presentation, what is the method of writing, what is the way of writing of William Wordsworth. That is actually the philosophy. UPSC, in the previous question paper, and it's a 15-marker question, UPSC asked a question about the philosophic exercise or philosophic writing of William Wordsworth. Very simple question. And we have 9 poems in UPSC syllabus. And whenever we write this answer, when we give the answer of this question, we have to focus the common method of method of Wordsworth poems and his way of presentation, and different type of devices he's used in the poems, in his poems. All these are the important points when we have to use when we write the answer. So this is the type of question. I just mentioned about the question here. After completing the each areas, we will start discussing the previous mains questions, and we will solve the question, or we will write the question live through the live sessions. Okay. So today I just show the questions, how the question asked in the UPSC mains examination. Okay. So here we discussed about the poem and William Wordsworth 2 Lucy poems. So all these are the important concepts, imaginations or devices used William Wordsworth in his 2 poems. So we covered the 2 Lucy poems which listed in the UPSC mains optional literature paper. Okay. Thank you. And the next day we can discuss the next topic or the next poem in the next class. Thank you.